This lesson is going to review operations with whole numbers, fractions, and integers. The concepts within this lesson are used within every category of the math section of the ACT, and while seemingly simple, should not be overlooked. Now let's head over to the classroom where I can illustrate some examples to help you with these concepts. Okay, I want to first talk about operations with whole numbers and integers, specifically adding, subtracting. Some examples would include things like 4 minus 6, which is equal to negative 2. Another one would be like negative 3 minus 5, which is negative 8. The third one would be negative 7 plus 4, which is negative 3. Now, these might seem simple, but I can't tell you how many students will mess up the signs of the answers. They might add the numbers when they should have subtracted them. They have a sign error when they work on these. So a lot of problems are missed simply by a negative sign. Now let's talk about multiplication and division of these kind of numbers. What you mainly need to keep in mind is when you multiply and divide integers, positive and negative numbers, is the fact that if the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is negative, such as if you take negative 4 times negative 6, you get a positive 24. If you take negative 12 divided by negative 6, you get positive 2. Let's see, what else we got? Let's see, we have negative 24 divided by negative 3, which is positive 8. How about one more? Negative 3 times positive 7, which is negative 21. Just got to watch your signs, guys. These can add up to a lot of points if you miss a number of problems just because you're plus and minuses. You're not watch your pluses and minuses. Now let's talk about fractions. We have to know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide them. Let's talk about adding, subtracting fractions now. One of the most common things people need to know is, when do I need this common denominator? And basically that's when you're adding, subtracting. You do not need a common denominator when you're multiplying and dividing. Let's talk about add, subtract. Say I give you 1/2 plus 1/3. The common denominator in this case would be 6. So you have to think about what each number would be over 6. 1/2, what times 2 gives you 6? That would be 3. So you'd have to multiply the top number by 3. So you get 3/6, which is equal to 1/2. For 1/3, what times 3 gives you the 6 on the bottom? That would be 2. So you get 2 over 6. Therefore, all you have to do now is add the numbers on top, get 5, and keep the denominator of 6. We can do it with subtraction now. We have 1/8 minus 1/4. Common denominator in this case is going to be 8. 1/8 has already got a denominator of 8, so we're going to keep the number on top. That's a 1. The 1/4 we need to change. We have to multiply 2 times 4 to get 8, so you're going to double the top, getting 2. So you're going to have 1/8 minus 2/8. So you subtract the top numbers and get negative 1/8. Now we can talk about multiplication and division of fractions. As I said earlier, you do not need a common denominator for multiplying fractions. Example. If I had 1/2 times 1/3, all you need to do is multiply the top numbers, the numerators, separately from multiplying the denominators. So you get 1 when you multiply the tops, and you get 6 when you multiply the bottoms. It's that easy. Another one. Let's throw some signs in there just to see if you're watching your signs. 1/8 times negative 1/4 will give you negative 1 on top over 32. Not too bad. Now let's talk about division. It's a little trickier now. So division, you need to remember to multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. You're going to turn it from a divide into a times. An example. Look at division. It's a little trickier. You need to multiply by the reciprocal. So you're going to take that divide, change it to a times, and then the second fraction is the part that you actually flip or turn into its reciprocal. What do I mean? Let's take a look at one. How about 1/2 divided by 1/3? You're going to leave the 1/2 alone. Change the divide to a times. And then you're going to multiply by the 1/3 reciprocal, which is 3/1. So now you're back to multiplying fractions again. So you're going to get 3 on top, 2 in the bottom. That's simplified. 3/2. A lot of people will leave it 3/2. That can also be written as 1 1/2. It depends on how the choices on the ACT is given. You have to know that those are equivalent. One more. Let's take 1/8 and divide it by -1/4. Leave the 1/8 alone. Change the divide to a times. And now multiply by -1/4 reciprocal, which is 4/-1. Or you can even write it as -4/+1. It doesn't matter. But we'll just keep consistent. So multiply the tops, you get 4. And the bottoms, you get -8. Now this does reduce. So that gives you 4 goes in the top and bottom. 1 time on the top, twice in the bottom, so you get 1/-2. Now that answer can also be written as -1/2, or just the negative out front, -1/2. The reason is because we know that a positive divided by a negative is a negative, -1/2. If you take -1 divided by 2, that's a negative number also. So it depends on how they put their answers on the ACT, which probably the last one is how they're going to write it. In summary, just keep aware of your signs, watch the fractions, and understand when you have to have a common denominator, when you don't, and I'm sure this will increase your scores.